Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Power Platform Boost podcast. We are doing recaps today. You're here with Ulrikke, that's me, and my co-host, Nick Dolman.
Yes. Hi.
How are you doing today, Nick?
Doing doing good. This is Vegas, day 2, and I think we had a good day. Saw some things, but probably had a little bit later start than normal. Even though the sessions started at 8 a.m. I did not make the first session because we went out last night with a whole group of us to see a concert, Nothing But Thieves.
Yeah.
And
awesome
it was amazing.
So we decided to sleep in a little today, and then so I was here for lunch, and then I did a session, and then we did a couple of sessions after that.
And for me, sleeping in on the time change, I woke up at like maybe 20 to 7 or something like that.
Good for you.
So I ended up doing a bit of work, kind of clean the cobwebs out of my head a little bit, and then made my way down. And so I went. The first session that I went to was with our friend Michael Roth. And if you remember from the Dublin Power Platform Conference, I went to his session there as well. But this seemed to have a lot of new stuff. Like, it goes to show how things change rapidly in Power Platform. And again, it was on governance, but he showed a lot of some of the new features coming with managed environments. We talked, I think, in our last episode, or like our last full episode, about his blog that he did. And he kind of presented a lot of those things. So already I learned a lot more about governance and the Power Platform environments, things like that. Some of the dashboards. There's like a licensing dashboard now that wasn't there. That's fairly recent. It's in preview. That kind of shows who's been, not only who has certain licenses, but some recommendations as well. So if you're on a trial license, it's recommended to get a full license and that kind of thing. See who is consuming that license. That was really cool. Because sometimes you're kind of, okay, is this person using this license or not? And those kind of things. And I know you can find this information already, but it's always kind of hard to drill down and find it. The other thing, he was talking about things like customer lockbox, which is pretty cool in terms of even if you have a environment for support, that how much you allowing your support professionals access to it. And talked about tenant isolation, went into some new features in the PPAC, and then also Center of Excellence. I learned the Center of Excellence has its own icon.
Oh, really? Does it?
It has its own icon. So
is that new? No, surely.
Well, maybe, I don't know if it's new or not. I learned about it today, so it's new to me. So, even though like Center of Excellence was a garage, what they would call in Microsoft a garage project.
Yeah, our CAT team put that together, don't they?
Yeah, you can download it on GitHub. It has a lot of, tons of tools and apps and things about processes and all of this. But it has support. So if you open a support ticket for the COE, you will get Microsoft support to cover it. So a lot of cool things there. He did a little bit of comparison of the COE versus managed environments. Of course, talked about the environment routing, which we've talked about a few times, which I think is that's a game changer in terms of getting people working in the right spots.
Yeah, so that is, first of all, you can set the default solution that you want new makers to, if they're adding new stuff, it will automatically go into a solution that you set and not some default solution. And that goes for environments as well. You can separate it from, users coming in with different web roles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Will be sent directly to different environments based on their security groups.
Yep.
So there's so many amazing things that comes with managed environments. And we actually also had a discussion with another buddy of ours in the community today about people asking about the licensing regarding managed environments,
mm-hmm.
and how they feel like it's more expensive than the old environments or the not managed environments. And that's a confusion, isn't it?
There's a miscommunication there, and maybe we can try to help clear it up. So basically, in order to use managed environments, the users in those environments require Power Apps, what they call premium licenses, which used to be called the Power Apps per user license, where if you're at a level where you need to have managed environments, your users probably already should have the Power Apps premium licenses. So it's really not that they need new licensing, it just needs the licensing that you probably already have. So that's really, hopefully that clears things up.
Yeah, and don't let that be a deal breaker for you. If you're looking into managed environments, make sure that you know what kind of licensing comes with it before you make a decision. So yeah, that's very good.
and then I actually, instead of going to another session, I ended up walking around the expo hall. So we have a lot of like Microsoft has a booth, a lot of third-party vendors have a booth. I had a little chat with the folks from Resco because I'm going to their user conference in a couple weeks. I was just putting faces with names and trying to shake hands, kiss babies, that kind of thing. But going around it, so it's the Power Platform is more than just Microsoft building solutions. There is a whole ecosystem of other partners and other companies that are building solutions that will bolt on the top or to the side of your Power Platform solution to give you a lot of extra features and functionality that it would probably take you years to build yourself. So that was really cool to walk around the expo hall, seeing what's new, seeing what people are working on. And these types of conferences are great for that because these exhibitors are also considered sponsors. So them buying booth space will also fund the lunches and the other things that need, get the speakers here and things like that. So it's always good to support these folks just by coming around, visiting them. And who knows, you might find that solution that's going to solve a really nasty business problem for you or your customers.
Yeah, and if you don't, maybe you get merch or maybe you get your badge scanned and you can win an iPhone or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So,
perfect.
Yeah,
it's a win-win. And then we had a great lunch, and then I had a session at 2 o'clock about Power Pages and how to style it. Now, I was fortunate enough for Microsoft actually reached out and asked if they could come on stage with me to show off the new awesome AI and Copilot capabilities for Power Pages when doing styling. So it was really niche. I thought maybe we'd get 10, 15 people in the room. It was about 200-300 that came to that session about Power Pages and styling. To me, that's pretty crazy.
And there was also a huge announcement made during your session.
Yeah, was there?
I think so. Well, okay. they announced the ability that can have Google fonts.
Yeah.
Will be available.
Yes.
And I know you're a font geek.
Yes.
And this was even accentuated last weekend when I was visiting your home. And you and your husband went into this weird little conversation about fonts and, ooh, this new font, and I'm just sitting there having a coffee like, who are these people? Why am I in this house here in Norway? There's these two people talking about fonts. Like it's, it's sort of like just this. Anyways, it was.
Every font geek out there, you know what we're talking about, right? Yeah. And how different fonts have different spacings and how they read on the page and what you use them for and how it's such an important part of your brand's identity. So I'm a font geek, definitely. And right now you can choose between, I think it's 10 different fonts, which are probably for font geeks out there, the worst font ever. And Comic Sans is in the list, people. It's horrible. And you can also choose 10 different fonts on your page. You can have different fonts for different headings and your navigation and your buttons and your paragraphs. It's horrible. Now what they're going to do is they have created a curated list of 40 fonts from Google Fonts that are the most web-friendly and most used fonts, and you're going to be able to choose between those fonts when you build your site. And Natish from Microsoft on stage with me said, please, people, be aware. Don't choose more than 2 fonts, please, for your site. And he's absolutely right. So we need to follow web standards when we're building Power Pages. So if you're starting out with Power Pages and styling, make sure that you also upskill on branding and web development, because it is a field of its own. So, yes, definitely. And it was great. We had an hour for the session. We were able to show off some new and exciting features and capabilities. I got into demo mode and showed how we brand a Power Pages site from scratch with favicons and logos and colors and fonts and content and everything that you can imagine. And it was really fun. And we got so many questions at the end. We had a huge line, and you helped me answer the questions, and I really appreciate that. So, it was a great session. And I really had fun with it.
No, you did an amazing job as always, and I'm just again so proud of you for what you do.
I appreciate that. And then we went to, because we divide and conquer. That's what we do on
normally, yes.
Normally, but this was so important that we really wanted to be there, both of us. We went to Women and Allies in Low Code, and that's a panel discussion. So Azure McFarlane, Mo Osborne, Sangya Singh, and Scott Durow were on the panel talking about women and allies in low code in tech. And it was a fabulous panel discussion, I must say. I learned a lot. They had so many great insights. What was your,
Just the whole thing about learning. So it wasn't even, it was just interesting because I've heard Sangya talk before, obviously working at Microsoft and being involved with the Power Pages team. And she's always she's more than just a leader of that group. She's so engaging, and she talks about learning and a lot of her planning. And it just sort of amazes me. She talks about her acts of life when she's talking about her career and everything. And about how I think she has her whole career planned out, or I'm not sure when she had that plan in place, but I've seen her do a slide where she's got these things, kind of planned out in her learning patterns and things like that. So she has a system, which is really cool to see. And she talked about, putting a priority on learning. And she threw out a couple very interesting facts about how after 5 days you can lose like 80% of what you learned. So you think if we go to these sessions and you're making notes, you're learning a lot, but in 5 days, 80% of that's going to be gone. So that's why I think it's important to get the decks and, make the notes and everything like that.
Yeah, and what she said about that as well is, what can you do then to retain that learning? And the best way that the brain operates in terms of solidify that learning is to recall it. So talk to a colleague about it, talk with someone you know about it, or write a blog post about it. If you learn something that you want to retain in your brain, you need to make the effort for that to be retained, and you need to recall it and use it in another context. And also some of the things that they talked about was to teach someone else. So Scott talked about how he was building this community in the UK, and how he would tell newcomers to the community that everyone has something to bring to the table. Even if you think that you don't know anything, you probably do, because you have your experiences and your perspective on this, and that's valuable to someone else. And when you teach stuff to others, that's a great way to retain and to learn, to sustain that knowledge in your head as well. So that was really
learn by teaching.
Yes.
And then,
and another thing today as well, you can ask Green Chat to test your knowledge of things. Test me on something. That was Azure. I didn't know that. It's fantastic.
Think about studying, talk about studying for an exam or preparing for something. It's just sort of okay, Bing Chat, give me a bunch of questions about, power apps.
Yeah, or pretend you're a customer asking me about Power Pages licensing. That I'm going to do later, so that I'm prepared for the customer meeting next week. And so they were each asked if they could get one insight or tip for anyone who in this community. And Azure said, ask questions, and I really subscribe to that. No questions too stupid or too dumb. Ask questions and reach out to us in the community as well. And if you don't get a reply, ask someone else and build that connection. And Scott talked about don't learn everything. No one can know everything about everything. Choose an area and stick to that, and stick to learning about that area. Don't take it all in. And Sangya talked about focusing, about what you need to learn right now in order to move forward. And that's, to the point that you made, have a plan in place, have a strategy, and look at your life and your career from a higher perspective and see, what do I need to do right now in order to learn and move forward. And then Mo talked about, make sure that you pick something that you actually love and it's dedicated to and is passionate about, because then that will make everything so much easier.
And it's interesting because they talked about that. There was a thing there, based learning on needs. And I've said it before, especially in the Power Platform. You don't always choose the technology; it chooses you. And then if you're lucky, it will be something you're passionate about. I think both of us accidentally fell into Power Pages and Power Apps portals, but we both love it. That's a thing. Plus other things like Power Automate was another thing. Okay, I needed to learn this, and that's sort of that base your learning on things that's based on your needs. So it's just, yes, I needed to write some Power Automate flows for a project. So, but it was really cool. So that made, it got me enthusiastic because I'm solving problems, but that's also gave me the enthusiasm to learn this new technology. So I think that's what I took out of it. Like, I know I'm extrapolating more on what they said, but that's sort of some of the things.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was a great panel discussion.
Yeah.
And then now we're out in the community area up here on the third floor at this great venue. And what's happening next? So AJ it's AJ's birthday today.
Right,
We're going
exactly.
to celebrate.
And he doesn't know. It's a kind of a surprise party. They're getting cake. It's going to be at there's a talent show where they're going to, I think they asked people like last week to put in, to demo an app or do any kind of talent or tell a story.
Sing a song, dance a dance.
Yeah. Yeah. So that'll be, I think that's around 6:30 or something. So we'll check that out. And then we'll see. We have another day tomorrow. And you're really excited about the keynote tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait. So at 10 o'clock, Singh and Adam Grant is going to do a keynote. And you could hear from what Sangya talked about today also, how the brain works, how you learn, how you evolve. She knows so much and has so many great insights into how you can solidify learning and everything. And I've heard Adam Grant before also asking why. Imagine you're a 5-year-old kid and ask why 5 times. Go deeper. Push, rip off the layers and actually go deeper to understand what's going on and the key to the learning underneath. And I feel that's a great strategy as well. So I'm really looking forward to that. So tomorrow is going to be an early morning tomorrow, a full day at the conference. I can't wait.
Cool. So how's the party going to happen tonight then? Because you're done your sessions, so...
Yeah, really, this should be my part. I'm done with everything that I need to prepare for, and everything's done. So, we'll see. I'll go to bed early. Probably.
So tune in tomorrow for tomorrow's recap.
To see how that went.
To see how that went. Okay, cool. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And we're going to have a recap again tomorrow. That's our plan. We'll see.
We're going to have a recap.
We'll have a recap tomorrow.
Share and subscribe and have fun.
And we'll find out tomorrow where next year's Microsoft Power Platform Conference
And we have great plans for next year. We've learned so much this year about how we're going to play this next year. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
For Microsoft Power Platform next year.
All right. Thanks a lot, everybody.